good day. I am Teacher Joy and Dagmil. I will be your teacher in Purposive Communication. So why we need to study this subject? Bakit natin kailangan malaman or matutunan ang Purposive Communication? So remember that Purposive Communication will enable you to learn how to communicate effectively, efficiently, and with a purpose. So for our first lesson, we will just discuss or we will just focus in language and communication. Remember that I already give you your first activity wherein you watch a TED Talk video about how the brain works or how to know 3 different kinds of people in our society. Okay, first one is the looker. Looker are visual people. They are about 75% of the world's population. Second are the listeners. They are auditory. They are about 20% of the world's population. And third are the touchers. They are about 5% of the world's population. They are kinesthetics. Okay? So I connect that one to our subject because you need to know the person that you are talking to first. Okay? In order to communicate with them effectively. Okay? So we do have here purposive communication. It is what we call improvised form of communication. When you say improvised, what does it mean? So you need to formulate your own kind of speech, right? So it is formatted to effectively and efficiently relay concepts and ideas across cultural and philosophical lines. So planning what you say when you have to give a speech is an example of purpose communication. So are you talking or are you speaking with a purpose? That's the question. So now, talking about the language. We can only call language a language if it has 3 kinds of category. Grammar, phonology, and vocabulary. Again, grammar, phonology, and vocabulary. So we will just, we will focus on the human languages itself. As we all know, animals have their own language, right? So dogs can bark, cats can meow, and cows can say what? Moo, say moo. It's a form of language. They are talking to each other using those sounds. Okay, these are the terms that you need to remember. First is the speech community. Second, language acquisition. Third, mother tongues. Fourth, first languages. Fifth, second languages. Sixth, language learning. Seventh is language contact. And eighth, language change. So let me give you an example. Okay, so when you say speech community, okay, so it is a form of community wherein people use the same language to understand each other. So while growing up, you learn languages in that community, and that is what we called language acquisition. And those languages that you acquire are what we called mother tongues, okay? So our first language is similar to mother tongues, but when you say first language, it is used in a large scale of area or the entire nation, just like Filipino. So in the Philippines, our first language is Filipino. And our second language is English. Okay, we can learn second language or our second language formally in school or informally outside the school premises. And that is what we called language learning. Okay, so where do language contact happen? It happened when you go to a certain area or specific place, for example, Korea, okay, or China, wherein you are about to communicate to your friends who are using their mother tongue and their first language. And slowly, you can communicate with them, though they do have different kinds of language your only connection is your second language, because they also speak a little bit of English. But as you get along, as you constantly communicate, you and your friend can produce a new form of language to understand each other, and that is what we call language change. So always remember that language is a complex human capacity. And that will be our first lesson about language and communication.
We're gonna keep it low key, keep it softly spoken, with no strings tying you to me. I'm happy in your company.